This game might be the best co-op experience of all time. That's all I have to say, goodbye. It Takes Two is a story-driven adventure game released way back in 2021, mostly known for winning Game of the Year and the creator bouncing around like he's won the jackpot. This title centers around a broken couple tormented by their poor relationship turning into miniature toys who have to work together to get back into their real bodies. The core idea of the game isn't anything groundbreaking and, on the surface, just seems like a generic depressed couple getting back together. And whilst yes, that's exactly what It Takes Two is, Hazelight Studios takes this idea and creates a triumphant platforming experience. The combination of Nintendo platforming polish, prime Pixar level storytelling, and funny dialogue that is masterfully written sums up this game pretty well. Whilst me and my girlfriend have beaten this game already back in 2023, we decided to jump back into it once again to remind ourselves how brilliant of an experience the game was. And not only did we come out of the game feeling satisfied, but I personally found it to be the concrete proof I needed to solidify this game as something special. It Takes Two is the culmination of all the support of Hazelight's previous efforts, A Way Out, a co-op action-adventure game about a pair of convicts desperately wanting to escape prison, and Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. From the outside, It Takes Two is a game you'd likely assume to be no longer than 5 hours, just based on its appearance and smaller price tag than most AAA titles, but in actuality this game is surprisingly lengthy, clocking in at roughly 15 hours for me and my girlfriend during both playthroughs. But anyway, I'm not here to speak about the game's length, or my length in fact, that's on another website. I think the right place to start is at, well, the start. The first of 9 chapters in the game starts with the family in, well, disrepair. Cody and May are arguing about who has a better base in Palworld for the 18th time this week, and their daughter Rose is trying to continue on through this all. Cody and May eventually confess to breaking up, leading Rose to take her 2 toys of her parents and seek guidance from the Book of Love. She cries, and then suddenly we wake up as the toys themselves. We're very quickly introduced to Dr. Hakim, the expert of love. He basically forces them to get back together, which obviously neither of them like. You travel through the shed, go face to face with Henry the Hoover, who you end up... Oh my god. After you finish watching Saw, you continue platforming your way around whilst also equipping a hammer and nail, which you each use individually to solve puzzles before going face to face with a toolbox, because everyone does that, you know? Once that's over with, Cody hypothesizes that the way to get back to normal is with the tears of the daughter, which is the most cynical parenting technique I've ever heard of, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. In the next chapter, you start by going up a tree, and then it falls down and you die, and that's the end of the game. You're not actually dead though, but instead wake up in a torture chamber with the commander of a fucking squirrel army, questioning motives and believing the 2 of you to be part of the Wasps. After enough horror, they realise they're just being murdered over and over again and let them free, supplying them with a nectar gun and an RPG. Some items you get in this game really do seem unfair for the other. The only way to use a specific item is to play as that character, but my fragile masculinity has to believe in the ways of the dad bod and embrace sarcasm. You traverse through many puzzles and even play Warrior's Goldmine for a bit, which is pretty cool.
Hello, I pressed F!
All before being face to face with the Wasps once again, who, shockingly, don't like you. Some other sections in this level I love are the water section with several tornadoes and obstacles, floating on a giant space fish, and the rocket racing section where you ride a beetle and become even bigger dickheads because you sacrifice him for the safety. What pricks. I'll try not to spoil everything that happens, but just know this chapter includes a Mortal Kombat fight with a squirrel. This should have been how they advertised the game, I would have bought it immediately. Rose's room is the longest chapter in the game by a wide margin, and takes you through probably the most diverse few hours the game has. Cody and May start in Rose's space station, confronted by Moonboon. Fuck Moonboon. The pair are granted 2 separate powers. Cody gets the ability to change size, Ant-Man style, and May is given gravity boots that let her walk on walls and ceilings. And these 2 powers just work so well together. The way the co-op puzzles are designed in this section is masterful and do an amazing job of making each other question what to do, which sometimes leads to some unfortunate moments. After getting through enough puzzles, you fight Moonboon himself, which is actually one of my favourite boss battles in the entire game, thanks to the element of teamwork being really well designed. Get on that rocket, go!
Whoa. I'm bad at this.
Once he's taken down, you make it to Rose only to discover that neither of you are visible to her, but you are able to control the environment around her. This leads to you doing the unthinkable. Operation Queen Kill... Kill Queen Elephanto. To do this, you solve math questions, fly around with fidget spinners, trip on LSD, watch Jurassic Park, play Sea of Thieves, travel through a circus, before finally making it to Magic Castle. This area is sprawling with personality in every way. You have people stuck in glue, knights protecting certain areas, merchants talking with potential customers. Despite being toys, it really does feel like there's life in this area. Nothing feels fabricated or forced. The personality of this game oozes and I think really shines in this area, especially when you realize that you start playing a completely different game in the middle. Yeah, don't ask me how, but Cody and May somehow become sorcerers, and it becomes a top-down MMO game with detailed combat and a wonderfully told story buried into literally 10 single minutes of this 15-hour game. I think this part really solidifies why this game is special. The fact that no part feels boring or dull. Every single moment there is a new idea presented, a unique enemy to face, or a new piece of context to analyze. After this is where I would suggest anybody under the age of 10 to not watch. You meet the Queen, tell her it's time to die, and suddenly the music twists, becomes contorted and almost silencing. Despite the wackiness of this game, this part is actually horrible. Both me and my girlfriend find this just horrific. Me being me though, I can't help but take the piss out of it. This is really morbid.
Aw. Yeah. You're literally like pulling her limbs off.
She's dead, bitch. After discovering that the cure for your magic problems wasn't Rose's tears, Dr. Hakim kidnaps Cody and May and starts scolding them for their obvious difficulties. So for the next 3 chapters, you two must travel through a cuckoo clock, a snow globe, and the garden to learn more about what made you two fall apart in the first place. We'll start with the cuckoo clock, which features my personal favourite section in the entire game. Again, Cody and May each receive powers I wish I could have in real life. May receives a clone, and Cody is able to rewind time when needed. Once again, you two use these powers to solve puzzles, which I know I'm saying about a lot, and you might think that that's all the game is, but puzzles are a massive part of It Takes Two. But the teamwork involved in them makes them feel like they are integral to your progression, not just mindless activities for you and your partner to solve. They are sprinkled in around shockingly fun areas that bend the platforming genre to its limit in an always engaging way. I find chapters 4, 5 and 6 to be the biggest leaps in story progression, so for the purpose of not wanting to spoil too much of that, I won't be going over much of that in detail. Travelling through the clock and being able to fly around on robotic birds and fight a literal clock is one of the best things I think I've ever seen. The next section is my girlfriend's favourite, the snow globe. Honestly, throughout the whole playthrough, she just wouldn't shut up about it, but I'm not complaining. This part is all about attraction, so as you can probably guess, you each get half a magnet, mind-blowing stuff. As always, these abilities are used in extremely interesting ways that constantly keep us engaged. Chapter 5 is gorgeous and filled with continuously more personality. Going through a remote ski village with Ferris wheels and swings is such a charming thing to experience, especially for the first time. The game always throws more ideas your way, from bobsledding to having to connect underwater pipes with a massive robotic fish hunting you down. There's even a pirate ship you can hop on, which has a chest which includes 2 pirate hats, which you get an achievement for finding them. Did they need to include that? No, but they did it anyway. The conclusion to this section is, in my opinion, the most vulnerable shift we see in the two. They're finally able to embrace a moment where they are truly happy, only for Dr. Hakim to come and ruin it in the best possible way. Chapter 6 is all about Cody's passion for gardening, which he's lost over the years thanks to a lack of motivation from both himself and May, which she doesn't take kindly to, even though he's got a very good point. This is probably my least favourite section of the game, and I'm not just saying that because of the spider bit, I swear to God. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this section in any way besides the combat. There is just way too much of it for me. Playing as Cody, all you get is a head snap thing that can't even one-shot anyone. This is the most monotonous the game gets, which to be honest does actually say a lot about how good the game really is. You do get to play Plants vs Zombies for a bit though, so that's kind of cool. You fight a boss as a bunch of vegetables. Yeah, this game is pretty wild. The finale of this game is all about May, and is my favourite chapter by quite an extent. It's all centred around music and getting May to do a grand performance to show her love for singing. Whilst I have so many things that I really want to say about this ending, I honestly think it is best experienced for yourself and not in just a random British man's YouTube video. Just know that it is something special. One of those gaming moments that you have to experience to understand the praise it's been given. Another part of the game I want to quickly mention is the minigames. There is a total of 25 of them scattered across all 7 chapters. Each of them offer a fun time waster, the links to the environment they're in. Kart racing, whack-a-mole, snail racing, tug of war, etc. I like to use these games to prove my dominance, and you can see that here. I'm actually a pro. The inclusion of these really goes to show just how much the developers cared about making something timeless. These linear 3D spaces are constantly filled with small things to do during moments of ease. They fit so seamlessly into the experience that the first playthrough I did, I'd never even found them all. It was only after recently, during my obsession with 100% in games right now, that I wanted me and my girlfriend to hunt down all of them. The game never needed to include these, but they did anyway, and that attention to detail and focus on the player experience is something I think none of us should take for granted. It Takes Two is a silly game, one filled with numerous gags and fun activities, but within that, there's a deep and thoughtful story that flows so seamlessly. Cody and May are unlikable at the start, 2 people seemingly trapped in a relationship that they want no part in. Neither of them tries to be positive or supportive to one another, and even scold each other continuously throughout their adventure. But as you take on more challenges, defeat more bosses, interact with the people around you, you realise that they mean more to each other than you ever thought. They start to care about one another, embrace moments of passion and loyalty, and not let themselves get carried away by their deep-rooted flaws. It's done in a way that feels natural. Whilst yes, they do all of this looking like a blob of clay and a wooden doll, they're still themselves. They find comfort in one another and understand that their bond is what holds their family together. By the end of the game, Cody and May have all the awareness they've needed for so long. They know that they need to make things work, and most importantly, they know that their daughter needs them. I've seen online just how many people have been moved by this adventure, people saying it saved their relationships, some saying it brought up issues that now they have awareness of as well. It Takes Two wasn't life-changing for me, but it was eye-opening. Deep down, they're both great people with great chemistry. It's just hidden under a layer of misery and stress. And during your adventure, you begin to peel that layer back, revealing their underlying obsession with each other. They need to be the people they truly are. They need to be themselves. Themselves together. I think It Takes Two teaches us a lot about humans. We aren't perfect, in fact far from it, but what we really are is a civilization afraid of change. People in this world are scared of that word. Why change what feels familiar to you? The answer to that question isn't to not change, but to let yourself evolve. Challenge yourself to be a better version not just for yourself, but for others, and most importantly, the one you love most. They need you as much as you need yourself. And that's the beauty of It Takes Two. Thank you all for watching. Woo!